They call them first officers now because they have the same training, but maybe just younger, not as many miles. Just like me, when I was on this mission, I didn't have as many miles in the air yet, and he had a lot more than me. So, but when you went over to Italy, they were losing so many pilots. They were taking the co-pilots and changing them into first pilots. They asked me one day, how about flying with this guy? He's a co-pilot. We're going to make him first pilot tomorrow. I thought, okay. I flew with him. I got off the airplane. We got off the runway. I thought, he's a lousy pilot. I thought, oh man. Next day, I'm sitting on the tarmac. His airplane goes down. Now, there was hundreds of them went. He went up. He turned too soon. He went right into the ground. He turned too quick. He didn't get airspeed. Well, that's why my mind wonders all these little things happen, you know, at different times. It usually does. It usually works out okay, but this time it didn't work out for the guy. You know, you have to wait till you get so much airspeed before you start maneuvering anything. Don't make it. You have to be 90 miles an hour. Don't turn it when you're 50 or 60. You go. And today they got so many good instruments, so they can help them out a lot. But we had most of our stuff you had to physically pull sometimes, ailerons and that. You had to pull the stick back. Today it's all like cruise control in your car, you know. But you still have to be a hell of a pilot, though. Just 10 more, couple hundred more things to learn than I had to learn. Oh, okay. I was taken from Budapest, Hungary, to Stalag Luft 3. Put us on boxcars. Their cars weren't quite as big as American boxcars, but they shoveled you in. I remember one time they left us get out for a little bit, and a German guard, gave us something to eat, a couple of us guys. He said during World War I, he was a prisoner of the British. They treated him good. Of course, the other officer wouldn't have liked that, but he didn't let them see what he was doing. I think he gave us a couple pieces of bread or something. You know, just a little thing, you know. Great thing, huh? The German people were very smart. I was in this prison camp, and I thought, what the heck's that? A jet come down. First time I saw a jet, you know. They weren't used in World War II yet. Weren't perfected, but the Germans already had them practicing or using them. They were like heck. But, you know, I guess in life you could do things over again, maybe, huh? A little bit differently. Well, I'm a country boy. I lived in Fairmont. You know where Fairmont's at? I wanted to get back home. I was in Texas, San Antonio. They said, how about staying in? I said, why? I said, we'll make you captain. I said, I only have 1 year of college. He said, we'll send you near college and you can finish. The reason they asked you to stay in, they wanted you to help muster the other guys out. There wasn't enough people to do the paperwork. And I had a friend that stayed in. I think he stayed in 25 years and come out as a colonel. Of course, he got good money. He said, I'm staying. Me, I go, like, I mean, I come home. Of course, I got a nice wife, and I got 2 kids. Both went to, all graduated from Norwin. My son owned Westmoreland Pool here. My daughter's a professor in Florida International University. She's in charge of a couple different projects and things. Makes more money than I ever made.
We flew from California, and then from there we were on a troop ship, and landed in Japan, and from Japan across the Sea of Japan into Korea, which is right across from the country of Japan. I worked in a steel mill in McKeesport in 1951. I graduated high school in 1951, and then I didn't like working in a steel mill. To be honest with you, we put rings and nipples on pipe, big pipe. And what we had to do is turn these rings, these real big rings, and turn them on the threads, and they just never seemed to mesh for me. And I'd get so angry, and I'd take these rings and nipples and throw them on the ground, and some old guy there, he'd come over there and put them on real nice and slick. You know, it sort of aggravated me a little bit and hurt my ego, and that was it. That was the last straw. But most importantly, my country was at war, and I wanted to help my country. I consider myself to be a very patriotic person, and I enlisted in the Marines. Where was I in Korea? Oh, all through Korea. I didn't make some of the major landings like the Incheon landing, no, but I was all through there, all the way up to the 38th parallel and beyond it. I have probably about, maybe 3, 6, 7 ribbons for various things and major battles and that I was in and things of that sort. I never got any major ribbons or medals like Silver Star, Bronze Star, that type of thing. But I think I did my fair share. I did get wounded. I could have gotten a Purple Heart, but I turned it down. I got a piece of shrapnel in my arm, my wrist. But it was minute. Captain wanted to get me signed up for a Purple Heart, but I turned it down. You know, when you see my friends carrying guts in their hands and things of that sort, and you know, getting blown up and more dangerous wounds than I had, I felt sort of guilty that if I took a Purple Heart for that reason. It was just a minor piece of shrapnel, probably about 3 inches by 1 inch. I got in my arm, and that was it. So I turned it down. Well, I think I told you before that most veterans dislike telling their stories, what happened in Korea. I'd say that the biggest problem, besides being shot at in Korea, was the weather. I mean, we complain about the weather here. The weather, I remember at one time, I think it was probably around Christmas Eve, it was like 50 below zero. And we were in our foxholes, and on the lines, on the front lines, you could hear the Chinese communists and the North Koreans had loudspeakers. It was Christmas Eve, and they were playing Christmas songs. But their vocabulary wasn't too good. I remember one instance, one of the ladies on the PA system from the North Korean side said, "Come on over to our side, you know, defect and come over to our side, and we'll give you hot beer and cold turkey." She just reversed it a little bit, but it was somewhat sort of humorous at the time. But it was Christmas Eve, and we, you know, when they played Christmas music, it made you feel, you know, you should be at home, but you still feel you're there for a reason, and you're serving our country, and that's most important. And, you know, I taught at Norwin High School for 35 years, and I did teach government and U.S. history and some of the electives like psych and social and anthropology courses. But they did some research after Korea, why there were people that went from our troops from our country that went over to the sides of the communists during the war. They defected, in other words. They went to the Chinese side, and they did some research as to why they did that. And the reason why is the fact that they had a very poor knowledge of the Americans, our country, American history. And if they were more versed in that subject, perhaps they would not have defected. That was the research that they did. So basically, that's it. I had 2 major jobs. I was in the infantry, and I was a fire team leader. In other words, I was in charge of about 3 other Marines, and I was like the fire team leader of these 3 other guys. It was carrying a rifle and, you know, that type of thing. And but then remember I told you I got wounded, and then I went to to the rear, to the echelon in the back, and went to 10 Hospital. They fixed me up, and rather than sending me back to my unit, they sent me, of all places, remember I told you at the beginning my hearing was bad, they sent me to the artillery. And when you're in the artillery, those guns go off, they make a lot of noise. So sometimes you wonder why they did that to me, because it affected my hearing, and I couldn't hear well. But that's the way sometimes the service is. You know, you don't always get what you want. You do what they tell you, and that's it. You know, we didn't fight. People think that, you know, we were on a front lines all the time. We were not. It depended on the situation. You could be up in the front lines for a week. You might have been up there for a month. But every once in a while, they'd ship you back to the rear so you can get a hot meal and get a shower and get, you know, cleaned up and straightened out a little bit. And then when that was done, then you go back up on the front lines again, where you'd eat sea rations and, you know, cold meals possibly. But every once in a while, they'd send you back and you'd have a hot meal, which is nice. I talked to your mom over here about things being made in China, and it just aggravates me to no end. Every time I go shopping, and I drive my wife crazy, because every time I pick something up, I look at the bottom and it says made in China. I guess that's the way our country is, or our economy, or whatever the case may be. Nike shoes, I'm wearing a pair of Nikes right now, and they're made in China. And I probably shouldn't wear them, but what else am I going to wear? You know, I don't know what else to do about the situation. But it's some personal thing for me, you know, to be fighting over there and the Chinese shooting at me, and then I have to buy their products, where I think we should have more products. I have an American car and an American truck, and I just won't buy a foreign car made in Korea or Japan or any place like that. That's just the way I feel personally. I just feel, I think what we need to do in our country today, I think we have a problem of, I guess, lack of patriotism and love of one's country. And I don't know what it is or how to get it back, but I think we're losing this, and I don't know why. Maybe it's our politicians, or in Congress, or in the government. I don't know what it is, but I just feel that we're just not patriotic like we used to be, and I don't know what it is. And maybe we're teaching the wrong thing in schools. I remember teaching history, and I remember a lot of kids today, they don't know what it's like World War II was like. It seems that many teachers get up to the Civil War, and then by that time, the year's over, you know, and they don't get to World War II, they don't get to Korea. Many kids today don't know what Korea is or where it is, and here I spent a year over there. And the same thing with Vietnam. You know, we lost an awful lot of lives in Vietnam, and I think that kids in school should know where that is and why we were there. And you know, we lost an awful lot of American lives, and I just think it's a shame that our teachers are to blame, and parents as well, for not telling the children, our youth today, a little bit more about our country and our involvement. That's one year of my life I like to forget. But I did do other good things. The Marine Corps was good to me. I was on a Mediterranean cruise after I got back from Korea, and it was a goodwill cruise all through Europe. And we went to Italy, France, Turkey, Greece, Switzerland, all these foreign countries. In fact, I'm of Croatian descent. My grandparents were from Yugoslavia, and my mother died when I was 8 years old, and my grandmother couldn't speak English too well. And in those days, that's the way it was. People got off the boat, they couldn't speak English, so I had to learn how to read, write, and speak this language of Croatian. And when I was there, the captain called me up and he says, hey, you know, we have a good job for you if you want to serve at the embassy in the city of Trieste, which is in between Italy and Yugoslavia at that time, because we know that you can read, write, and speak Croatian, and it would be a good job for you, and I'm sure it would have been. The only thing is, he said you have to